Welcome to this edition of Weekend Review. We're here to give you an update of what's been going on through the week here at the Loma Linda Broadcasting Studios and what's coming up in the weeks to come. Well, this is a day that we always like to start out with a verse, and Bob has got the verse of the day. Bob, what are you going to share with us?
Yes, well, here it is. It's from John 10:16. And other sheep I have, which are not of this fold. Them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd.
This is quite an interesting concept, isn't it? It's kind of talking about sheep in other folds, coming out of those folds into what fold? Daryl?
True. They are not of this fold. It implies that he said, it's not implied, it's outright stated, that they are already his sheep. They're not sheep that have to be, other sheep that have to become his sheep. They are his sheep already, that are not of this fold. Them also must I bring. That's an interesting thing right there. Bring where?
Into one fold.
And there shall be one fold and one shepherd. Okay. I've heard this verse used before. One fold, one shepherd, one church, one leader. What do you think this is saying?
Well, I think that he's talking about the remnant here. This is the people that are left. And if you think about it, all through the history of the world, God's people have always been the remnant. So that means there is a bigger group that claims to be God's people, and they're not really. They're in that one other fold. And whether they are Christians or whether they are Buddhists or any other branch of religion that's in this world today, there's another main religion that claims its verses as their own for their earthly God.
With one shepherd.
Yeah, one shepherd and one flock, which is the whole world. Globalization, but let's not go there.
Well, this one shepherd, I believe, in this case, is Jesus.
That's what he's talking
about. The shepherd.
Absolutely.
Not a person, Jesus, Christ himself. And when it comes to the fold,
It's the church, it's the end church.
Which is a people. I have no doubt that you could go to church every weekend, be a part of this fold, and be sitting next to somebody who is not.
Bob, what do you think?
I look at this a little differently. Perhaps this is an element of prophecy involved here. Jesus realized as the centuries would go by that there would be many other faiths. And even within Protestant denominations, look at the different types of churches and beliefs. He foresaw this. And I think all elements have portions of the truth. He wants to bring those who are within these multitude of faiths together as one. You know, some people are in a faith because this is how they were raised, or because of their family, or the neighborhood or the area that they live in. But deep down, is it possible that perhaps they realize there's a different way?
Well, is it possible that they really study the Bible and see what that has to say?
Exactly.
There's a kind of a movement in Christianity that I've detected that you really don't need the Bible. All you need is Jesus. And Jesus is the way. And the Bible tells us that Jesus is the truth, right? And the Bible is the truth. Thy word is truth. David says it in Psalms, I believe, is 119. What do you have to add?
I really think it's listening and answering the call of Jesus Christ. I think each one of us are in different walks in that respect. I think Jesus is calling people from many different places and different churches as well. And I think at one point in time, it'll become apparent that there's a great controversy going on that some people don't even know about. And eventually they will make a choice to be in this fold with Jesus, whether or not they have the doctrinal understanding that we all have per se as we go. But I really believe that that's it, that listening to Jesus and following him.
So it occurs to me that I think it's Matthew 4 when it talks about the people that Jesus addresses that are in the fold, and he says, get away from me, you who work iniquity. And they respond by, but we did miracles in your name. We cast out devils. We did all this. Obviously they thought that they had a relationship with Christ.
Right.
But they don't know Christ, and Christ didn't know them.
Right.
And so he said, you're cast out into the outer
I
darkness.
think that's
They
about it.
think they're of the fold, but they're not of the fold. I think there's another verse that talks about those.
Well, let's do that next week because it's fast escaping.
Well,
let us know what you think. Daryl's got a final thought, and we're just going to give him the time. Daryl?
Okay, well, my final thought is this. This is laid out in pieces. And the pieces towards the steps are, and they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd. First step there is, they shall hear my voice. How do we hear his voice?
Tell us.
That's
Daryl.
in his word. That's
Amen.
in his word.
Amen.
That's how we hear his voice. And that is what this entire ministry is all
That's what
about.
we're here for. Yes.
Is
Amen.
sharing his word, his voice with everybody, with all of these sheep who are not of the fold.
And how do we do that in the interest of time?
And how do we do that? Oh, well, reaching out to them, getting to where they are. It isn't a matter of them waiting for them to come to this fold, but reaching out to them with his voice.
And what are the tools
With his
that
word.
we can use?
One of the biggest tools for that is cable TV. It's about a little over half of the population of the United States of America, and then probably a little less in some other countries, though, is subscribed to cable TV. That's a lot of people. Here in the United States, there are around 320 million people. We reach a certain percentage of those by over TV, over on some on cable, some on broadcast, some by satellite, internet. There are a lot more who have not been reached with his word, with his voice, and you can be a part of that by contacting your local cable company and asking them to carry the LLBN channels, one or more of the LLBN channels. And it takes more than just a phone call. It takes a lot of phone calls. It takes letters, handwritten letters. You can talk to your church members, to your family, your friends, your neighbors, everybody who could get involved in this, and ask them to be a part of that. And this becomes a mission work for you, to reach out to those who are not of this fold and bring them into the one fold with one shepherd.
So very, very heartfelt emotions need to go along with this. This is an opportunity for you to expand the mission. Now, we appreciate your support, financial support, because it is vital that we have that. But you can take it a step further and contact your cable company. Like Daryl says, a handwritten note, reply to the email. That's the way to do it.
You can go online to their website. Most of them have a feedback form you can fill out, and again, request that they carry the LLBN channels. And and again, it takes more than one. It's a sustained effort over time.
Well, thank you for bringing that up there, Daryl. And thank you for participating and putting Daryl's words into action. This is the time to do it. Well, let's talk about John Anderson. He's one of your favorites, many of you. He's the pastor of the Mentone Seventh-day Adventist Church here in Southern California, and he has been part of the LLBN family for a long time. Now, he's been on let's say the church has been on a sabbatical for technical reasons, and now they've upgraded and they're ready to come back. Daryl, tell us about that.
Yes, on the His Light channel, we had been carrying the Mentone SDA Church. As Marlon said, some technical issues came up, but they're back in the lineup. Encourage you to go to our website and go to the His Light schedule and find out when it's airing.
Well, let's give them a little sample here.
Great,
Here's
sure.
John Anderson's church, the Mentone Seventh-day Adventist Church in action.
So what we're going to do today is take a look at the marriage of Isaac and the marriage of Jacob. And we're going to see how these marriages illustrate Jesus and his love for the church, Jesus and his love for you and me. So starting out with the story of Isaac, what we're going to see is that Abraham commissioned his servant Eliezer to go in search of a suitable bride for Isaac. So in this story, the bride, Rebecca, is going to stand for the church. And the groom, Isaac, is going to stand in the place of Christ. And Eliezer is going to stand for you and me. We are going to be Eliezer. If I was asked the question, is there anybody here named Eliezer? Is there anybody here named Eliezer today? Okay, when we finish this part of the study, I'm going to ask the question again, and I hope every single one of you raises his hand or her hand.
Well, you can see the Holy Spirit is definitely at work in the Mentone Seventh-day Adventist Church. And as Daryl mentioned, take a look at the website schedule to see times and dates when you can see this terrific message. Well, it's time now for cards and letters, and Bob has something to share with us. Bob, what did you bring us today?
Well, it's cards, letters, emails, texts, voicemail. There's a lot of ways to reach us. A woman from Southern California, her name is Esther, wrote us this week, and it wasn't anything that was constructive or interesting, but she said simply, God bless your ministry. May the Lord continue to guide you. And that, to me, is as wonderful a communique from our viewers as we could ever receive. So, again, I encourage all of our viewers and supporters to write us. We're asking you to do a lot of writing now, the cable companies as well as now write to LLBN. But if you feel so inclined, we'd love to hear from you. And as I say all the time, I personally will read every one. Nothing will go in a vacuum.
And what is her name again?
My name?
No, her name.
Her name, Esther.
Esther.
Book of Esther.
God bless you, Esther. Here's Jay Hughes
Yes.
with a plan-giving idea on LLBN. Jay?
Yeah, today I just want to encourage our viewers that the Bible, I believe, is the ultimate guide to financial success. There's so many verses and references to financial success, and I want to give you one today. Proverbs 22:7 says, "The rich rule over the poor, and the borrower is the slave of the lender." It's very important, and so much is lost in our resources because we owe debt that we collect during our lifetimes for whatever reason. And so I want to encourage people to dive into the Bible and learn how there are promises about tithing and blessing because of it. And there are very many principles that go hand in hand with stewardship and trust services that help us in the Scripture to have more, to do what we want, to bless God's work and our family.
No.
Thank you, Jay. You know, it's amazing that Ecclesiastes proves true once again that nothing is new under the sun.
Amen.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of Week in Review. We see you next time here on the Loma Linda Broadcasting Network.